Today we're looking at the best commander card from every single year of Magic the Gathering. 1993 Sol Ring from Alpha. Well, 1993 is infamous for having some of the most powerful and expensive cards in the history of the game, like the Power 9, headlined by Black Lotus and the Moxen. It's actually a random $2 uncommon in Sol Ring that's by far the most powerful and popular commander card from the year. Making 2 extra mana every single turn for just a 1 mana investment is a ridiculously good deal in a format that's all about ramping into huge spectacular plays, and the godfather of Commander, Sheldon Menery, actually credits Sol Ring with turning Commander from a fringe format into the popular behemoth it is today. Thankfully, Wizards realized pretty quickly how important Sol Ring was for the format and started putting it in every single Commander precon deck, which is a big deal because it helps keep that card accessible so everyone can use it. If you want an example of what happens when you don't reprint a card like Sol Ring, just look at Mana Crypt costing $200. Today's Sol Ring is synonymous with the Commander format, and players put it in basically any deck possible. Need a Sol Ring of your own? Well, you can snag one and all the other cards we'll talk about today as well from our sponsor Card Kingdom over at cardkingdom.com/MTGGoldfish. 1994 Sylvan Library from Legends. Perhaps unsurprisingly, considering Commander is a format literally built around legendary creatures, out of the 3 sets released in 1994, all the best Commander cards come from this set named Legends, although oddly, the legendary creatures from the set are no longer the headliners. While this set will always hold a special place in the history of the Commander format for printing the original Elder Dragons, which created the EDH format, or Elder Dragon Highlander, which would later be renamed Commander, the cycle of Chromium, Nicol Bolas, Vivictus Asmati, Arcades Sabbath, and Palladium Morse don't really see much play today. On the other hand, there's 2 uncommons from Legends, Mana Drain and Sylvan Library, that are true Commander staples and show up in a ton of different decks. Either would be a fine choice for card of the year, but we'll give the award to Sylvan Library since everyone loves drawing cards and no one likes getting their spells countered by Mana Drain. 1995 Necropotence from Ice Age. 1995 was a pretty weak year for Commander and really for Magic in general, with only 2 non-reprint sets being released during the year, Ice Age and Homelands, with Homelands being considered one of the least powerful sets to ever be printed. Thankfully, Ice Age gives us a few good options. Nature's Lore is one of the best green ramp spells, Demonic Consultation dominates high-powered CDH games by comboing with Thassa's Oracle, as does Mystic Remora is a cheap card draw spell, but in more casual games of Commander, Ice Age offers an even stronger source of card advantage in Necropotence. While you do have to wait a turn to get the cards that Necro offers, the fact that in Commander games you start with 40 life means that Necropotence can potentially be a draw 30 or more for just 3 mana, which is often enough for its controller to untap and take over the game the turn after it comes into play. 1996 Force of Will from Alliances. While the tutor cycle from Mirage deserves an honorable mention, and Arcane Denial, another counterspell from Alliances, actually sees more Commander play overall, nothing from 1996 tops Force of Will. Originally printed as an uncommon, the free counterspell is a way to force your win condition through your opponent's disruption or stop your opponent's combo kill, even if you're tapped out of mana. The downside, even with multiple reprints, Force of Will still costs a massive $80, which keeps its rate of play down. If Force of Will was cheaper, it would show up in basically every blue deck, which is a sign of a powerful card. 1997 Reanimate from Tempest. 1997 is a tough year to judge. Visions gave us Vampiric Tutor, which is widely considered to be the second best black tutor behind Demonic Tutor. Weatherlight's Mindstone is among the most played mana rocks in Commander. Tempest's Soul Land Ancient Tomb can benefit almost any deck, although costing $80 keeps many players from using it. But it's another Tempest card that tops our list, Reanimate. You know how decks that look to cheat creatures into play from the graveyard are called a Reanimator deck? That's a callback to the card Reanimate, which more than 25 years after it was first printed, is still the best and most efficient way to put a creature into play from the graveyard. When a card has an entire popular archetype named after it, it's a pretty safe choice for card of the year. 1998 Gamble from Urza's Saga. While there's several cards from the year that seem more play overall, like the Blue Wheel Windfall or the reanimation spell Victimize, Gamble is by far the most important commander card of 1998. While red is good at many things like direct damage or blowing up artifacts, one thing it's really bad at is tutoring. In fact, Gamble is still the only real red tutor in all of Magic, which means if your red deck needs to find a specific card, you'll certainly need a Gamble in your deck. Plus, the fact that Gamble makes you discard a card at random after you tutor leads to some super exciting moments, making it so you might discard the perfect card that you just tutored up, making the card live up to its name as a literal gamble. 1999 3 Visits from Portal. Portal 3 Kingdoms is a unique set. It was released primarily for the Asian market, although a small number of English language Portal 3 Kingdom cards were printed, mostly for Australia and New Zealand. The set included renamed versions of some popular older cards like 3 Visits, which is a functional reprint of 1995's runner-up Nature's Lore. The problem is there was so little Portal 3 Kingdoms printed that the popular ramp spell cost $200 before it was finally reprinted in 2020's Commander Legends, which dropped the price down under $10. Now you might be wondering why 3 Visits and also Nature's Lore are so strong. Why not just play one of the many other ramp spells that are similar, like Rampant Growth or Farseek? The answer is twofold. First, 3 Visits lets you grab any forest from your deck and put it directly onto the battlefield, which means along with grabbing a basic forest, you can snag a Bayou or an Overgrown Tomb or any other dual land with forest as this lands type. Secondly, the land comes into play untapped, which is incredibly rare for this style of ramp spell. Almost all the other versions of this effect put the land into play tapped, so you gotta wait until your turn before you access the mana, but 3 Visits breaks a mold and lets you use your land right away. As a result, 3 Visits is probably the single best ramp spell in the Commander format and a true staple in green decks everywhere. 2000 Rhystic Study from Prophecy. Perhaps the easiest choice on the whole list, no card from 2000 comes anywhere close to Rhystic Study, widely considered to be one of the best, if not the best, card draw spell in the Commander format. Originally an unplayable bulk common in 1v1 formats, the multiplayer nature of Commander, giving you 3 opponents to trigger Rhystic Study's ability, turned the enchantment into a powerhouse that at one point cost $60, making it by far the most expensive common printed in the past 25 years. Today, its iconic question, do you pay the one, shows up on everything from t-shirts to coffee mugs, making it not only a great card, but a great meme. 2001 Phyrexian Arena from Apocalypse. Well, 2001 offered several good options, like Odyssey's Diabolic Tutor, a popular budget-friendly tutor option, or Planeshift's Terminate, one of the most popular targeted removal spells in the format. It's the Apocalypse enchantment Phyrexian Arena that has stood the test of time. Recently reprinted in a standard set for the first time in nearly 20 years, and Phyrexia All will be one, there's still some debate over whether Phyrexian Arena's one extra card per turn is too slow for 2023 Commander, but it still shows up in a ton of decks, and if you can play it in the early game, the extra cards it offers usually helps you pull ahead of the rest of the table. While Phyrexian Arena might not be as explosive as 1995's Necropotence or 2000's Rhystic Study, sometimes slow and steady really does win the race. 2002 Cabal Coffers from Torment. Well, the Incarnation Cycle, Anger, Wonder, Brawn, Filth, and Valor from Judgment deserves an honorable mention, as does the set's iconic mana doubling and creature pumping enchantment Mirari's Wake. None of them match up to the raw ramping power of the Torment uncommon land Cabal Coffers. When Cabal Coffers was first printed, it was a bit difficult to use, since it essentially requires your entire mana base to be swamps, which mostly limited it to hardcore mono black decks. But since Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth came along in 2007's Planner Chaos to turn all your lands into swamps, the popularity of Cabal Coffers exploded. Today it's considered among the best black cards and best lands in the Commander format, leading to Wizards upgrading the uncommon all the way to Mythic last time it was reprinted in Modern Horizons 2. 2003 Lightning Greaves from Mirrodin. Colorless cards have a natural advantage in Commander, which has strict color identity rules, keeping you from adding cards to your deck outside of your commander's colors, since colorless cards can go in any deck. As such, great 2003 cards like Seedborn Muse and Decree of Pain simply can't match the raw playability of Mirrodin's Lightning Greaves. While Solemn Simulacrum comes in a close second, Lightning Greaves is one of the most played cards in all of Commander, giving decks a cheap way to protect their commander from removal or attack immediately with hasty massive threats. 2004 Eternal Witness from Darksteel. 2004 was a great year for Commander cards. Kodama's Reach and Sakura Tribe Elder are popular ram spells, Sensei's Divining Top combos with popular commanders, Skullclamp offers a ton of card advantage in decks with small creatures, but none of these cards can match the recursive power of Eternal Witness. While the unassuming 2-1 for 3 might not look like much at first glance, being able to return the best card from your graveyard to your hand is incredibly powerful, so much so that there were actually calls to ban Eternal Witness in the early years of the Commander format. Today, Eternal Witness is the single most played creature in the entire format, generating value in everything from mono green to 5-color decks. 2005, the Shocklands from Ravnica. Commander players love multicolor decks. Just look through the most popular commanders in the format and you'll see that many of them are 3, 4, or even full-on 5 colors, which means good mana fixing is super important in Commander. The optimal mana base is probably fetch lands and original dual lands, but this plan has one huge problem. Thanks to the reserve list, the original dual lands are ridiculously expensive, with a single copy costing hundreds of dollars. So players desperately needed a cheap playable replacement, which we finally got with the Shocklands in Ravnica. While not quite as good as the original dual lands, they're pretty close, plus they cost a few dollars rather than a few $100s, which has made the Shocklands the most played dual land cycle in the Commander format and the foundation of a modern Commander mana base. 2006 Zur the Enchanter from Cold Snap. You might have noticed that so far, we haven't had a single legendary creature, a single commander on our list of best Commander cards from each year. This is because in 2011, Wizards started printing cards specifically for Commander, which has led to more legends and more powerful legends, making it super difficult for old legends to keep up with the power creep. In fact, if you look at a list of the 50 most popular commanders in the format, you'll see that they've all been printed in the past few years, with one exception: Cold Snap's Zur the Enchanter. Even in 2023, Zur is an extremely popular commander, in part because of its ability to tutor up cheap enchantments to the battlefield every turn, and in part because Zur is known to be one of Post Malone's favorite commanders, which has recently led to a resurgence in Zur decks in Commander. 2007 Muldrifter from Lorwyn. 2007 is an interesting year for Commander. Vigor deserves a shout out for being one of the biggest green threats 15 years ago, although it's been severely outclassed in the past few years. It also gave us 2 heavily played sweepers in Damnation and Astur Command, which used to be some of the best their colors had to offer, but more recently have fallen behind cards like Toxic Deluge and Farewell. But no card from 2007 says Commander like Muldrifter. It turns out that being a divination that you can blink, reanimate, and even double up with a Panharmonicon is a pretty powerful way to draw cards, even if its 5 mana 2/2 flying body doesn't look like much at first glance. 2008 Knight of the White Orchid from Shards of Alara. Well, 2008 Shards of Alara brought with it the first ever mythic rares, which gave us some iconic commanders from their era like Rafika the Many, Crush the Bloodbraid, and Shroom the Hegemon. These legends have fallen in popularity in the past decade as Wizards started printing legends specifically for Commander. As such, it's a little 2-mana white ramp spell that tops our list in Knight of the White Orchid. White is notoriously bad at ramping, although it has gotten better recently with cards like Smothering Tide designed to fix the problem, which makes Knight of the White Orchid's ability to add a plains directly to the battlefield if you're behind on lands essential in mono white decks, even today, 15 years after it was first printed. 2009 Reliquary Tower from Conflux. Commander players love drawing cards, maybe a little too much if that's even possible, which has turned Reliquary Tower into a Commander all-star. According to the rules of Magic, you can only have 7 cards in your hand at the end of turn, which means if you draw too many cards, you're going to be forced to discard until you get down to 7. Reliquary Tower allows you to avoid this pesky rule and keep as many cards in your hand as you want, which helps it show up in a ton of different decks. 2010 the Titans from core set 2011. Well, massive Eldrazi creatures like Ulamog and Kozilek from Rise of Eldrazi are some of the scariest cards that can hit the battlefield in a game of Commander. It's another cycle of expensive creatures that top the year's list. Core set 2011's Titan cycle. While today's Sun Titan is the most popular of the group, this is only because Primeval Titan was banned in the format thanks to its ability to tutor up multiple lands to the battlefield each turn. Well, pretty far behind the top two, both Grave Titan and Inferno Titan show up in Commander decks as well, which leads Frost Titan as the only real dud of the group. 2011 Kalia of the Vast, Commander 2011. 2011 was the year that everything changed. Well, pretty much every set printed in the year was overflowing with popular Commander cards. Core set 2012 had Swiftfoot Boots, New Phyrexia had the original Praetor cycle, Mirrodin Besiege had Consecrated Sphinx, and Innistrad had Blasphemous Act. The big deal about 2011 was that was the year that Wizards started printing Commander precon decks with cards designed specifically for the format, with the aptly named Commander 2011. Today, Kalia the Vast is the most popular Commander from the Commander 2011 set, but in reality, Commander 11 was stuffed full of Commander goodies, with other iconic Commanders like Animar, Gave, and Riku, but also a bunch of popular cards for the 99 like Command Tower, Chaos Warp, and Flusterstorm. With the printing of Commander 2011, Wizards set the stage for the next decade of Magic, where Commander would grow from EDH, an obscure format played by mostly judges in side rooms at big events, into Commander, a format with tens of millions of fans, and by far the most popular way to play Magic the Gathering today. 2012 Cyclonic Rift from Ravnica. Well, it's tempting to pick Craterhoof Behemoth as one of the best finishers for green decks in the format. There's plenty of other big green monsters that can close out the game. On the other hand, Cyclonic Rift is unique. Sure, blue has other mass balance spells like Evacuation, but none of these even come close to Cyclonic Rift in terms of power, since Cyclonic Rift lets you keep all your permanents on the battlefield while making your opponents bounce all of theirs, all at instant speed. This makes Cyclonic Rift not only the best blue sweeper in Commander, but also one of blue's best finishers, since you can bounce all your opponent's defenses and then kill them with one massive attack. 2013 Aloro Ageless Ascetic from Commander 2013. While Aloro is a powerful and fairly popular Commander, it tops our 2013 list for another reason. It was the first time that Wizards printed a card that does something well in the command zone. If you choose to play Aloro as your commander, you'll get a benefit from the very start of the game, gaining 2 life on each of your upkeeps. Well, this ability is an interesting way to take advantage of the unique features of the Commander format. We'd learn in the future with the Eminence mechanic that the ability is probably a bit too powerful, since there's no way to interact with a card that's in the command zone. Honorable mention to 2 Theros cards in Nykthos Shrine of Nyx, which offers a ton of mana to monocolor decks, and Grey Merchant of Asphodel, with the beloved Gary becoming one of the best mono-black finishers in Commander. 2014 Xenagos, God of Revels from Born of the Gods. 2014 is a tricky year for choosing the best Commander card. While there's a bunch of playable cards, there aren't any clear-cut all-stars. Commander 2014 once again led to innovations with Planeswalkers that can be played as your commander, although none of them are very popular. On the other hand, Born of the Gods and Journey into Nyx offered a very popular 10-card cycle of legendary enchantment creatures, the Gods. While many were played as commanders, Xenagos God of Revels tops our list thanks to being a semi-popular card in both the command zone and in the 99, where its power to give a creature a huge power boost along with trample and haste offers one-shot kill potential. 2015 Ugin the Spirit Dragon from Fate Reforged. Well, there's more heavily played cards printed in 2015, like the green card draw sorcery Shamanic Revelation or the blue removal spell Reality Shift. And Commander 2015 gave us Marin of Clan Neltoth, one of the most popular Golgari commanders. Ugin the Spirit Dragon tops our list as one of the best colorless sweepers in the format. While the Planeswalker does cost 8 mana, it can immediately come down and sweep away pretty much all the colored permanents on the battlefield, making it an important addition to blue and green some decks that don't have access to many ways to deal with the entire board at once. 2016, Atraxa Praetor's Voice from Commander 2016. Commander 2016 had a unique theme. It was built around 4 color decks, which are extremely rare in Commander. This gave us the first ever cycle of 4 color legends, including the singular most popular commander in the format, Atraxa Praetor's Voice. The Angel Horror's ability to proliferate each turn makes it a popular leader for many different styles of decks, ranging from Super Friend Planeswalkers to +1/+1 counters to Poison and Infect decks. While Atraxa is a pretty clear choice for card of the year, there's another mechanic that has perhaps had an even bigger impact on the Commander format. Partner. The partner mechanic allowed players for the first time ever to have 2 commanders, assuming they both had the partner mechanic. While no individual partner is anywhere near as popular as Atraxa, the mechanic itself is a driving force behind many high-powered CEDH decks, where the flexibility partners offer is highly valued. 2017, the Dragon from Commander 2017. Back in 2014, we talked about Aloro adding abilities that work from the command zone to Magic for the first time, and how the ability would eventually prove to be problematic. Well, that came to fruition in 2017 with a cycle of commanders with the Eminence mechanic, which work from the command zone. While the Dragon is the most iconic of the bunch, offering ramps to Dragon decks from the very first turn of the game, all the commanders with the mechanic, Edgar Markov, Nala Archmage Ritualist, Abaro Roar of the World, are extremely powerful and popular. Broken Legends aside, 2017 also offered 2 of the most popular protection spells in the format, with green getting Heroic Intervention in Aether Revolt and white getting Teferi's Protection in Commander 2017, both of which are more than deserving of honorable mentions. 2018 Assassin's Trophy from Guilds of Ravnica. Well, Niv-Mizzet the Perun is a popular spellslinger card in the format, either as a commander in the 99, and Commander 2018's Yuriko the Tiger Shadow is a super popular commander. Topping our 2018 list is the Guilds of Ravnica removal spell Assassin's Trophy. One of the unique aspects of Commander is that there are powerful and heavily played permanents of all types, which makes unconditional removal that can kill any type of permanent, especially important. While Swords to Plowshares and Path to Exile are more efficient, they only deal with creatures, making them useless against powerful artifacts, enchantments, lands, or planeswalkers. Assassin Trophy's ability to destroy any permanent for just 2 mana makes it an easy inclusion in any deck of its colors, making it perhaps the best targeted removal spell in the whole format. 2019 Smothering Tithe from Ravnica Allegiance. 2019 was a power creep year where Wizards printed some of the strongest cards we'd ever seen in the history of the game, and this carried over to Commander. The list of strong and popular Commander cards is literally too long to name off. The Great Hench, Return of the Wild Speaker, Bolas' Citadel, Generous Gift, Field of the Dead, and many more. But there's really 2 cards that stand out above the rest, both of which happen to make treasure tokens: Dockside Extortionist and Smothering Tithe. Both cards are incredibly powerful and true staples of the format, to the point where there are constant conversations about whether Dockside Extortionist is too strong and needs to be banned thanks to the absurd number of treasures it can make. While Dockside is certainly the more explosive of the 2 cards, I'd argue that Smothering Tithe is even better, or at least more important. Back in 2019, the biggest conversation in the Commander community was about the color white being underpowered in the format, in large part because the 2 things that white is worst at, drawing cards and ramping, happen to be the 2 most important things you can do in a game of Commander. Wizards vowed to fix the white problem, and while card draw would have to wait a bit, Smothering Tithe, almost by itself, took white from near the bottom of the color ranking in terms of ramping to near the top. It's really difficult to pay 2 mana every time you draw a card and still execute your game plan, so once Smothering Tithe hits the battlefield, it usually gives its controller at least 3 extra mana each turn cycle, and if a Wheel of Fortune or Windfall style card ever resolves, things get out of hand quickly. If you prefer Dockside, I'm fine with that, but personally, I think Smothering Tithe's impact on making white into a playable color in Commander puts it atop our list. 2020 Thassa's Oracle from Theros Beyond Death. Honestly, I'm thankful we're getting near the end of our list because from 2020 on, pretty much every single set is designed with Commander in mind, giving us so many strong cards that it's basically impossible to narrow it down to just one. 2020 is the year that gave us our first full Commander set in Commander Legends. While Commander precons have been around since 2011, this was the first time a full booster set was designed for the Commander format, and it didn't disappoint, offering a ton of interesting legends in staples like Jeska's Will, Jeweled Lotus, Opposition Agent, and before it got banned, Hull Breacher. Of course, the year also had a series of Commander precons, which are now infamous for the super expensive and heavily played free spell cycle, headlined by Fierce Guardianship. But despite having multiple Commander-specific sets printed during the year, our best card comes from a standard set, Theros Beyond Death's Thassa's Oracle. Thassa's Oracle, or Thoracle, is part of perhaps the most powerful 2-card combo in Commander, alongside Demonic Consultation. If you can find a Thassa's Oracle, you can cast Demonic Consultation and name a card that isn't even in your deck, which lets you exile your entire library for 1 mana, and then you can just play Thassa's Oracle and win the game with its ETB trigger. Thankfully, Thassa's Oracle doesn't see too much play in casual Commander games, but that's not because it's not good enough, it's because it's too good, which causes players to leave it out of their decks because it's kind of a boring way to win. It is, however, the best way to win a game of competitive EDH or CDH, to the point where there's been many conversations about whether it should be banned. 2021 Esper Sentinel from Modern Horizons 2. A couple years back, we talked about Wizards attempting to fix the color white in Commander, specifically by giving it ramp and card draw. Well, 2019's Smothering Tithe, along with some other cards, help with ramp. All the mana in the world doesn't help you unless you have some cards to cast with it. Well, in 2021's Modern Horizons 2, Wizards gave white its best card draw ever in Esper Sentinel. While the 1-drop is solid on its own, often drawing 2 or 3 cards and occasionally many more over the course of a game, it also works really well with white's ever-present equipment theme, since if you grow its power, it becomes harder and harder for your opponents to pay its tax, making it much more likely that you get to draw multiple cards with the artifact creature. Well, there's a bunch of other great Commander cards from 2021, Esper Sentinel is head and shoulders above the field. 2022 Boseiju Who Endures from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Well, 2022 broke all the records for the number of new legendary creatures printed, giving players some super popular commanders like Goshen Tai of Life's Origin, Miram Sentinel, Ishin Two Heavens is One, and Shikori Genesis Engine. The best commander card from the year is actually just a land in Boseiju Who Endures. One of the quirks of Magic's resource system is that every deck needs to play a bunch of lands to be able to cast their cool spells, and traditionally lands are pretty boring, they just make mana, but recently Wizards has focused on printing lands that also work like spells, turning a mana base from one of the boringest parts of your deck into one of the most exciting. While the entire cycle of channel lands is strong, Boseiju Who Endures is by far the best of the bunch. If you need a mana, it's a land. If you don't need a mana, you can use it to blow up an artifact or an enchantment or even one of your opponent's lands, so it works kind of like a spell. The fact that it replaces a basic forest in your deck really pushes it over the top. The opportunity cost of playing it is just incredibly low, why its power is super high. 2023 Elish Norn Mother of Machines from Phyrexia All Will Be One. Really, it's way too early to pick a best card from 2023. Who knows what crazy stuff Wizards will add to the Commander format this year. But the early leader is clearly Elish Norn Mother of Machines. A Panharmonicon for you and a Torpor Orb for your opponents, Panharmonicon supercharges your deck while slowing down your opponent's game plan, making it one of the most hyped and discussed Commander cards in a long time. When the Godfather of the format, Sheldon Menery, writes an article talking about how after getting an early look at the card, he emailed Wizards of the Coast telling them not to print it, you know you're dealing with a powerful effect. Need even more magic? Well, make sure to check out the video about 9 plays that actually forced Wizards to change the rules of the game, or maybe the one about the most important card from each year of Magic.